Good afternoon, gentlemen and ladies. I welcome you once again back to our class, PCR115, and I'm glad you are around to go into the process of learning again today. I want to assure you, as you are taking your time and dedicating your time to this study, that you will never regret it. Today, we are going to be going to our third topic. We have been talking about a series of process of conflict resolution. To understand solution is, I've tried to distinguish between conflict resolution and other relative concepts. But today, we'll be going into the processes of mediation. Don't forget that our last class, we stated that mediation is one of the processes that can be used in conflict resolution. And we want to look at mediation holistically today. So today, we're going to look at the process of mediation. And having done that, we'll look at the skill of mediation. And thereafter, we're going to look at the strategies of mediation. Strategies of mediation. I remember the last class also, I was able to explain to you who is a mediator, and particularly what kind of work a mediator does, and the legal implication of the process of mediation. So today I come again, we're going to the process of mediation, skill of mediation, and strategy of mediation. So stay with me as we go through the lesson. Peradventure, you have any question, you can send it into my email or get in touch with me through the chat box or through the online learning environment. And I want to assure you that I'm going to answer you timeously. We have three categories of mediators. Three categories of mediators. That is, mediators can be classified into three. Mediators can be classified into three. Okay? We have the individual mediator. We have the state mediator. And thirdly, we have institutional mediators or organizational mediators. These are the three categories of mediators we have: individual, personal, state, or institutional. So let's look at the one after the other. I hope you're flowing with me. Individual mediator is an individual who does not have an official role or who does not represent his or her country in any capacity in the process of mediation. So when an individual stands to help mediate between a warring party or parties who are in conflict, we call such a person an individual mediator. We have several examples of people who have done that in the past. These people don't represent a particular state or organization, but they use their personality. By virtue of status they have achieved in life, they find themselves in the position to stand as a mediator between conflicting parties. Sometimes the conflicting parties invite them, having trusted in their ability and their capacity to help in dealing with their conflict issues. We have the example of former president of Nigeria, Olusegun Obasanjo, example of Absalom Abubakar, example of Thabo Mbeki, example of Jimmy Carter. All these personalities are former presidents or former leaders of the nation who have intervened in conflict in different parts of the world. Because they are respected persons, by virtue of the position they have occupied before, it is believed that conflicting or warring parties will be able to listen to them when they have issues of conflict, and they believe that such individuals have the courage that is needed to deal with the parties involved in conflict. So when it is an individual who is not representing a particular state or an organization, we say he is an individual mediator. Secondly, we have states. States, that's a conglomerate of a place or representative of a particular place. A state is a conglomeration of society or a unit of a nation. States can be large or small, and there have been instances in this present world when a state or a nation to call and put to associate the mediating conflict that concerns states or nations, as the case may be. So when we are looking at states here, we are looking at maybe a conglomerate of or an aggregate of a society, or we are looking at a nation as defined under political science as consisting of people, different background, different culture. But when we're talking about state here, we are looking at it as not as the whole state, we are looking at representative of such state where a nation or a state stand up as having a concern for warring neighbors on to help them to mediate between their issues. So I was trying to let you know that when we are talking about state here, it could be a country, long as it is a body of a state on its own, having its own sovereignty, having its own power, having its own legality that can stand on its own. So this state can stand as a mediator between warring parties, particularly when they have the power, when they have the technical know-how in dealing with the conflict that concerns other countries or other states. So many times we have examples of United States, Switzerland, Norway, Algeria, who have often find themselves in the forefront of mediation activities. They have at one time or the other helped to solve problems within other states, whether neighboring or neighboring. In fact, United States of America believe that they are the police of the world. So they are often found to help in dealing with issues. The third one is institution or organization. Other bodies and organizations are being found to help in dealing with different conflict issues. They carry out mediation services. When we are looking at organization, we are looking at two kinds of actors within this regime. We have the specialized non-governmental organizations who are committed to conflict resolution. Example of that is Amnesty International, International Alert, the Carter Center, and so on and so forth. The other aspect is a widely variety of religious body or organization that help in mediating. Examples of that are the Quakers or the Islamic Conference Organization or the Community of Sante Egidio and other civic and humanitarian organizations found all over the world. In fact, also the Red Cross Society have been found at so many points to start as organization helping in mediation services. Having understood this, we have to go further to look at skills of mediation. In mediation, it is expected that you must have certain skill. Without that skill, you may not be able to do much. You may not be able to do what is expected, to carry out your assignment vigorously and in an acceptable way. So when you achieve certain skill or you have acquired certain skill, it gives you the ability to be able to deal with issue of conflict. Conflict is not just what you handle on your own. Conflict is what you need skill to handle. You don't just jump on conflict. You need required skill. And I'm looking at one of the skills very importantly today, and that is the skill of trust. In any conflict situation where an individual or a nation and organization will serve as a mediator, the first thing that gives the person the kind of authority to mediate, the ability to the person who is trusted. If you are not trusted, then you will not be dependent upon. The moment a mediator enters a conflict, mediators strive to gain trust of the parties. Because without the parties trusting the mediator will not be able to do anything particularly. So the trust level of the mediator must be high. So apart from other mundane skill which the mediator must acquire, the mediator must first and foremost have the skill of trust. The mediator must be able to build trust with the parties. And how a mediator builds trust are in different capacity or in different ways. And for him to build trust, the quality of his personality must be so outstanding, must be speaking without him, trying to canvass any information about himself. His personality must be what can be looked into, and these things he has done in the past, then people can say, look, this guy is there. Apart from that, a mediator must be somebody who, when he or she enters into a situation of conflict, must be able to display certain characteristics that will make the people to build trust in him. Just like in a normal day-to-day life, when there are issues, it is easier for somebody who have an issue to be able to rely on, trust on somebody's judgment, who think along in their own way, or who they think has respected them, or who they think have a fair consideration for them. That is when they will be able to submit to such a person to be able to mediate before them. So a mediator must be somebody who tries to build trust between the parties in order to deal with issues among the parties. I want to look at example of certain characteristics or quality that can make conflicting parties to trust the mediator. There are a lot of them, and I'm going to examine one of them after the other. Number one, a mediator who will be trusted must be somebody who is perceived to treat the parties with dignity. Secondly, he must be somebody who is perceived to be like them, not somebody who is trying to claim superiority over them. Somebody who is trying to think is better than them. No. Thirdly, it must be somebody who is perceived to care about them. Fourthly, it must be somebody who is perceived as somebody that cannot hurt, but can rather protect the warring parties. Number five, a mediator that will be trusted must be somebody who has interest in settling the conflict, but not having interest, personal interest, both in the conflict or the outcome of the settlement. So he must have no particular attachment to either the parties or the process of the conflict or the outcome resolution. See, understand the conflicting parties. If it does not try to listen and understand them, in fact, there's every likelihood that the whole process will break down. Number seven, to build a trust, a mediator must help to solve problems when he's asked to do so, not trying to include and bring his own factor into the situation, but trying to solve the problem. Number 8, he must be somebody who is reliable, somebody who keep his promises, somebody who keep to his word. Okay, so having understood that, you cannot see how a mediator build trust. I've used the example of what happened as personal individual. The same thing happened to a mediator. So he must learn to treat the parties equally. He must create an enabling environment for parties to be comfortable. He must listen to them, understand their problem. He must show that he has no stake in the outcome of the dispute. He must never blame anybody. I hope you have been able to see how a mediator works. Now, finally, I will look at strategies of mediation. Strategies of mediation. There are strategies that a mediator can use. There are strategies that mediators use in doing whatever they want to do. And we're going to look at these strategies one after the other. It is very important that you understand these strategies, because if you don't have a clue about them, you might not be able to do well as an individual who wants to partake in mediation. So these strategies have been outlined to be 3. These strategies have been outlined to be 3. And I want you to take note of the 3 of these strategies. They have been outlined to be 3. Number 1, communication. Communication in the facilitation of strategy. Communication is very, very important. The language presentation, expression, procedural strategies. What are the procedure that the mediator adapt or adopt in carrying out his work? And number 3, directive strategies. So what I'm saying in the essence, mediators may use one or all or more of the 3 strategies in the course of helping to deal with conflict: the communication strategy, procedural strategy, and directive strategy. Communications in facilitation or communication facilitation strategy. This describes the mediator behavior at the low end of the intervention spectrum. Here, a mediator typically adopts a fairly passive role, channeling information to the parties, helping to facilitate cooperation rather than but exhibiting little control. It does not control strategy. Enables a mediator to bring both parties together in an acceptable, that will be acceptable, that will make the work easy. During the procedural strategy, a mediator may exercise control over the timing, issues on the agenda, meeting place, arrangement, media publicity, the distribution of information, the formality, flexibility of meeting, but not on the parties. It takes charge of the procedure. It sets down the procedure, but allow the parties to walk through the procedure so that they will not perceive the mediator as becoming a dictator. Procedural strategies give a mediator the opportunity to control aspect of interaction, not the people. It controls the aspect of interaction, but not the people. And finally, directive strategy. Directive strategies are the most powerful form of interaction. A mediator works hard to shape the content and nature of the final. This is done by offering each party incentive, promises of support, or threat of diplomatic sanction when they gain resources or the prospect of losing resources. That's why it is called directive. Here, the mediator gives direction. Directive strategies are crucial in any conflict. They allow a mediator to break through a cycle of violence by changing the factors influencing the party's decision making. This is very, very germane because here the mediator uses his own influence to make sure that the outcomes are relevant to the parties. He uses his own influence to ensure that things are done properly without actually causing any problem, without actually making parties to feel bad about each other. Finally, for this class, we're going to be looking at conditions for successful mediation. Conditions for successful mediation. There are certain conditions that are needed for a mediation to be successful. And we need to understand it. So that if you find yourself in a position where you are called as a mediator, you will know what and what to do. Number one, for a mediation to be successful, it must take place at an optimal or right moment. If it is not right, don't enter into it. There are times the conflicting party have not seen the need for mediation. Then that is premature. Don't enter into it. And also you must take note of when it is too late to enter mediation. So there are two important things you must take note of. About the timing of mediation. It must not be premature. There will be obstacle. If it is premature, there will be obstacle. Secondly, successful mediation requires a coordinated approach between different aspects of intervention. That is, there must be enough skill, enough resources that will be able to beat the warring parties to it. Number three, mediation success is dependent so much on commitment, resources, persistence, and experience. Mediation is not what you just you don't have the requisite knowledge. You must be committed. You must have the resources. You must be persistent, and you must be experienced. You can't just dabble into what you don't know anything about. Number four, mediation is likely to be successful when there are recognizable leaders within each party. That is, each conflicting or warring parties should be able to present leaders who are accepted as legitimate. Don't just bring anybody from any party and say, let us mediate. No, it must be the leader of the people, so that whatever you say, we have influence on the warring people. They might be the message that carries weight to the people, because the leaders of the people themselves the weight of so when the woman must be, for a mediation to be successful, you must be committed to the continuation. You must be committed to ensuring that violence in that society is eliminated. The conflict effective if there are no section in each community committed to the cutting short of the violence. You must have people in that society who are ready to give their all, who are ready to be committed to the process of making sure the tension between the parties are brought to an end. Today, I've been able to take you through the process of mediation. We have looked at the skills of mediation, which among them prominently is building trust. Then we have looked at strategies in mediation. And I've been able to make you to understand that if you are going to serve as a mediator in any given scenario of conflict, you must acquire necessary skill. You must be somebody who is knowledgeable. Where these are not present, you are likely not to have a successful outcome. So I encourage you to go through your notes for the previous lecture and today's ideas with your classmates. Go through the discussion forum, attempt all your quizzes as we go on in this course. And I want to assure you, when you do all these things and you do them promptly and timeously, you are bound to excel in this course. This is the end of our lecture today, and I remain your humble lecturer, Dr. Samuel Okoyemi Iroye. I meet you in the next class. Have a wonderful day.